Welcome to our channel where we explore intriguing hypothetical scenarios that challenge our understanding of the world. Today we ponder the question, what if the internet suddenly ceased to exist worldwide? Join us as we delve into 10 thought-provoking scenarios that explore the consequences of such a monumental event. Communication gridlock. The sudden disappearance of the internet triggers a cascading breakdown in global communication networks. Email, messaging apps, and social media platforms vanish without a trace, leaving individuals, businesses, and governments stranded in a digital desert. With the primary channels of communication severed, chaos ensues as organizations struggle to maintain operations, coordinate efforts, and disseminate vital information. Remote work becomes virtually impossible, disrupting countless industries and compromising productivity on an unprecedented scale. As reliance on digital communication proves futile, reliance on traditional methods such as landline telephones and physical mail surges, overwhelming already strained infrastructures ill-equipped to handle the sudden influx. In the absence of instantaneous online communication, the pace of decision-making slows to a crawl, exacerbating crises and hindering disaster response efforts. The inability to share real-time information leads to misunderstandings, delays, and inefficiencies, further compounding the chaos and confusion. Economic collapse. The collapse of online commerce heralds an era of unparalleled economic turmoil. E-commerce giants, digital startups, and online retailers, once the backbone of global trade, crumble under the weight of their digital demise. With storefronts shuttered and virtual marketplaces vanished, consumer spending plummets, sending shockwaves through supply chains and industries worldwide. Unemployment rates skyrocket as businesses struggle to adapt to the new reality, shedding jobs at an alarming rate. Financial markets reel from the sudden disruption, with stock exchanges experiencing unprecedented volatility and investor confidence plummeting. The loss of digital transactions cripples banking systems, leading to widespread liquidity crises and the collapse of financial institutions. Governments scramble to implement emergency measures to stabilize economies, but their efforts are hindered by the lack of digital infrastructure and the scale of the economic upheaval. Inflation runs rampant, savings evaporate, and the specter of global recession looms large over the world. Information vacuum. The loss of the internet creates a gaping void in access to news, research, and educational resources, plunging society into an informational abyss. Misinformation proliferates unchecked, filling the void left by the absence of credible online sources. Traditional media outlets, already struggling to adapt to the digital age, find themselves overwhelmed by the sudden surge in demand for reliable information. Print newspapers, radio broadcasts, and television news become the primary sources of information, but their reach is limited compared to the internet's vast digital landscape. As misinformation spreads like a wildfire, public trust in institutions erodes, fueling social unrest and political polarization. Conspiracy theories, hoaxes, and propaganda run rampant, exacerbating societal divisions and undermining democratic processes. The loss of access to online educational resources hampers learning and research efforts, stalling progress in fields ranging from science and medicine to arts and humanities. Intellectual stagnation sets in as the flow of knowledge and ideas grinds to a halt, casting a shadow of uncertainty over the future of human progress. Social isolation. With social networks vanishing overnight, people find themselves thrust into a world devoid of digital connections and virtual communities. The loss of online friendships, support networks, and social platforms leaves individuals feeling isolated and disconnected from their communities. Social media addiction, once ubiquitous, gives way to withdrawal symptoms as people struggle to cope with the sudden absence of digital validation and social engagement. Mental health issues soar as feelings of loneliness, anxiety, and depression become widespread. Physical gatherings and face-to-face interactions become the primary means of socializing, but the transition is fraught with challenges. Many struggle to re-establish meaningful connections in the absence of the digital crutch that once facilitated social interactions. Community organizations, grassroots movements, and social initiatives face an uphill battle in mobilizing support and organizing collective action without the reach and influence of online platforms. The loss of digital activism and online advocacy leaves many causes and movements struggling to make their voices heard in a world that suddenly feels eerily silent. Technological regression. The absence of the internet deals a devastating blow to technological progress, sending humanity hurtling backward into a digital dark age. Research and development efforts grind to a halt as scientists, engineers, and innovators find themselves cut off from global collaboration and access to online resources. Advancements in fields such as artificial intelligence, robotics, and biotechnology, once heralded as the keys to humanity's future, stagnate as the engine of innovation sputters and stalls. Breakthrough discoveries languish in obscurity, their potential unrealized in a world bereft of digital connectivity. Industries reliant on digital technologies, from manufacturing and transportation to healthcare and entertainment, face existential threats as the tools and platforms that once powered their operations vanish overnight. The promise of a hyper-connected future gives way to a bleak reality of regression and stagnation. In the absence of the internet to drive innovation and technological advancement, society grapples with the implications of a world in which progress is measured not in leaps and bounds but in incremental steps backward. The road to recovery, if it exists, is long and uncertain, stretching out into a digital wilderness devoid of the guiding light of connectivity and progress. Political turmoil, governments struggle to maintain control as citizens demand answers and solutions. Protests erupt worldwide, leading to political instability and unrest as authorities grapple with the crisis. Emergence of alternative technologies. Alternative communication networks, such as localized intranets and satellite systems, gain prominence in the absence of the internet. These technologies provide essential lifelines for communities and businesses seeking to stay connected. Return to analog methods. Society reverts to analog methods of communication, relying on print media, landline telephones, and physical mail. These traditional forms of communication experience a resurgence as people seek reliable alternatives to digital channels. Reimagining social structures. Communities become more localized and self-reliant, prioritizing face-to-face interactions over virtual connections. New forms of social organization and cooperation emerge as people adapt to the challenges of a post-internet world. Recovery or transformation. Whether through the gradual restoration of connectivity or the emergence of entirely new paradigms, society adapts to life without the internet. The loss of this ubiquitous technology reshapes the world in profound and unpredictable ways. Political turmoil. As the internet disappears, governments around the world find themselves grappling with unprecedented challenges to their authority and legitimacy. Citizens accustomed to instant access to information and the ability to mobilize online demand answers and solutions from their leaders. Protests erupt in cities worldwide as frustration and anger boil over into the streets. People demand accountability for the sudden loss of a technology that has become intertwined with every aspect of modern life. Governments, ill-prepared for the scale of public outrage, struggle to maintain control and restore order. Political instability and unrest become the new normal as authorities grapple with the crisis. The legitimacy of governments is called into question as citizens voice their discontent and demand accountability for the failure to safeguard the internet, a technology that many had come to rely on as a pillar of democracy and freedom of expression. Amidst the chaos, authoritarian regimes seize the opportunity to tighten their grip on power, using the crisis as justification for crackdowns on dissent and the erosion of civil liberties. Democratic norms and institutions come under threat as governments prioritize control and stability over individual rights and freedoms. Emergence of alternative technologies. In the absence of the internet, alternative communication networks emerge to fill the void left by the sudden disappearance of digital connectivity. Localized intranets, satellite communication systems, and mesh networks gain prominence as people seek ways to stay connected in a world without the global web. These alternative technologies provide essential lifelines for communities and businesses seeking to maintain communication and coordination. From small towns to large cities, communities band together to build and maintain their own local networks, creating resilient systems that are less susceptible to disruption. Satellite systems become the primary means of long-distance communication, providing essential connectivity in remote and underserved areas. Mesh networks, comprised of interconnected nodes that relay data between devices, offer decentralized alternatives to traditional internet infrastructure, ensuring connectivity even in the face of centralized control or censorship. While these alternative technologies may lack the speed and scalability of the internet, they provide essential tools for survival and resilience in a world where digital connectivity is no longer guaranteed. Return to analog methods. With the internet gone, society reverts to analog methods of communication that were once ubiquitous but have since been overshadowed by digital technologies. Print media, landline telephones, and physical mail experience a resurgence as people seek reliable alternatives to digital channels. Newspapers, once considered a dying industry, experience a revival as people turn to print publications for news and information. Subscription rates soar as readers rediscover the pleasure of holding a physical newspaper in their hands and flipping through its pages. Landline telephones, long relegated to the status of relics from a bygone era, regain relevance as people seek reliable means of communication that are not reliant on digital infrastructure. Phone booths, once on the verge of extinction, become valuable lifelines for those without access to mobile phones or internet-based communication. Physical mail, often dismissed as slow and inefficient in the digital age, experiences a resurgence as people rediscover the joy of receiving letters and parcels in the mail. Postal services, once threatened by the rise of email and online shopping, find themselves inundated with a newfound demand for their services. Reimagining social structures. The disappearance of the internet prompts a reimagining of social structures and norms as communities adapt to life without digital connectivity. With virtual connections severed, people turn to face-to-face interactions and physical gatherings as the primary means of socializing and organizing. Communities become more localized and self-reliant as people prioritize connections with neighbors and fellow residents over virtual friendships and online communities. Neighborhood associations, community centers, and local organizations experience a resurgence as people seek opportunities for social interaction and support closer to home. New forms of social organization and cooperation emerge as people collaborate to meet the challenges of a post-internet world. Mutual aid networks, community gardens, and skill-sharing initiatives spring up as people come together to share resources, knowledge, and support in the absence of digital infrastructure. Social hierarchies and power structures undergo a transformation as communities prioritize inclusivity, equity, and collective well-being over individual interests. Grassroots movements and community-led initiatives gain traction as people seek to build a more resilient and interconnected society from the ground up. Recovery or transformation, whether through the gradual restoration of connectivity or the emergence of entirely new paradigms, society adapts to life without the internet. The loss of this ubiquitous technology reshapes the world in profound and unpredictable ways, leading to either recovery or transformation on a global scale. In the aftermath of the internet's disappearance, efforts to restore connectivity begin in earnest as governments, businesses, and communities work together to rebuild digital infrastructure and restore online services. While progress may be slow and fraught with challenges, gradual improvements in connectivity lead to a semblance of normalcy returning to daily life. Alternatively, the loss of the internet sparks a transformational shift in the way society operates, ushering in a new era of innovation, collaboration, and resilience. Communities embrace decentralized peer-to-peer networks and alternative technologies, leading to a more distributed and resilient internet infrastructure that is less susceptible to centralized control or disruption. In this transformed world, digital connectivity is no longer a given but a privilege, with access determined by local networks and community initiatives rather than global corporations or governments. The internet, once seen as a ubiquitous force for connectivity and progress, becomes a relic of the past as society charts a new course toward a more decentralized, equitable, and resilient future. Thank you for joining us on this exploration of the hypothetical consequences of a world without the internet. If you found this video thought-provoking, don't forget to like and subscribe to our channel for more intriguing content. Your support helps us continue to delve into fascinating what-if scenarios that challenge our perceptions of the world. Until next time, stay curious.